All right, folks, hope you're having a good weekend. Before I go into the stocks we're going to be watching on Monday, let me put this up as a reminder. This video is just going to be stocks, in my opinion, that have good potential to give us great trades during the next session. We want to focus on in-play stocks, but then we trade them on an intraday basis on the setups that we know. So keep that in mind. Starting off with the daily chart of the SPY, which we closed, gap down and sold off and closed well below the 20-day. Last time that happened, I would say below the 20-day was probably here on April 23rd. So we've been on quite a tear. Does this mean the rally's over? I have no idea, right? Pretty good volume on that sell-off, though. And the market could probably use a little bit of a pullback. So I think as traders, this could actually be positive for us. Let me go into what we're watching on Monday. TMC, I think the CEO tweeted or something about some disclosure coming up Monday, or I don't know, it got the market excited and finally had a nice reversal. We were watching this for a bounce for a while, and then I kind of think I took it off the watch list, and then it did give that nice bounce. Did get a trade on that one on Friday. Depending on what they say, though, and the disclosure thing, it could be a nice move. FDMT, big breakout there on very, very strong volume, could absolutely have a follow-through day. REPL. Had this crazy gap up here after this ugly gap down, right? So this is a weird chart for sure. And then it looks like maybe a couple inside days. But I like the way it closed strong in a very weak tape. So that one stays on watch. Could be some shorts caught there. RKT is Rocket Mortgage, which had this nice rally. Then the gap up and sold off. And then they came out with earnings. Kind of closing in the middle of its range, though. But certainly deserves to be on the watch list. Joby is kind of in a range from here to here after this nice big run. Did have a nice headline on Friday, though, and I kind of put it on my radar. It's still closed below its open, and it's really in the middle of its recent range. So there is no great chart set up here. I think the one thing I like about it is it broke 18 by a couple pennies, went to 1802. And if you go back here, you see the most recent high is 1855, not that far away. So maybe we get some kind of setup through the whole number 18, and this could maybe start another leg higher. Again, it had good news on Friday. BHVN, really nice pop on Wednesday, and then Thursday and Friday, a couple lower days on declining volume, but still probably in the upper half of this big green daily candle from Wednesday. So I like that for a possible follow through or turn back up. USAR, all the rare earths are kind of back on watch. So USAR, again, not in a great spot, but had really good volume on Friday and a nice pop on Thursday as well. As far as where it is, it's kind of in the middle of its recent range. But again, if that space gets going, this is certainly one to watch. ATAI, really strong stock in a weak tape lately. And Thursday topped at 429, Friday topped at 428. So it's definitely interesting over that. It's also a little bit extended, but I do like the strength in a weak market tape. So ATAI goes on watch. ATEC, big breakout on Friday, certainly could continue. APLD had the gap up, I believe, on earnings on Thursday, and then gap down with the market on Friday. But a nice little bottoming tail there. And so there's no real chart set up here other than it's an in-play stock, and I definitely want to watch it. A lot of shorts in it too, by the way. RBLX's Roblox had the gap up on Thursday, but sold off, and then gap down, sold off some more on Friday. Pretty much had a gap fill, so I'm going to treat that as a potential bounce play to turn back up on Monday. Speaking of bounce plays, DECK had the gap up on earnings, and not a red daily candle sits, and that's 6 days in a row. We've definitely filled the gap. I don't know. I'm just going to treat it like a bounce play. It hasn't given me an entry yet since I've been starting to watch it. So I'm going to watch it. And UPS also is pretty beaten up. And after this gap down here, 4 red candles in a row, I'm just looking for a snapback bounce one of these days. I've said this before. My favorite setup on this would be pretty narrow range for the entire session, and then a late day, preferably final hour, high of day break. That's a good scenario when you're looking for a snapback bounce on something that looks like UPS here. All right. Anyway, that's it. I'll see you guys in the pre-market on Monday, and we'll add some gappers to this list.